he was here for 10 years before he left. So fast forward to when I'm 19, 21, he passed away. They had the whole procession and things like that, but we were very far removed from it. She wanted to protect us. She protected us from a lot.
If you have a Nigerian father that's still alive, that did you wrong in multiple ways, and maybe harsher ways that I can even imagine, forgiveness is a gift. And
mercy is a gift.
I don't know. I feel strongly that somebody is just like, I cannot forgive him for what he did. And I know it's hard to do and it's hard to imagine. But what I would say to that is we are all susceptible to the enemy and his vices. And the same way we want to be forgiven is the same way we hope to forgive others. And so I hope that you can forgive your Nigerian father well before an apology, well before he passes. And that's a way to honor him too.
So tell us, why are we here today?
I think I wanted to tell this story of who my dad is. And so the reason why I want to have this conversation is because in this grieving process, I've learned so much about my dad now that he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure with anyone who has lost anyone, when you're going through people's things or kind of going back on their life or looking through the history of the person, you might have already known the things. Like I knew he was a leader. I knew he did these things, but kind of unearthing all that information all over again it was as if I felt like I was walking through his footsteps a little bit.
I'm remembering that transition, that you came to this discovery that you had been trying to prove to him your Nigerianness. And I remember the heaviness of that shift, but I didn't understand it because you weren't articulating that this is what you were going through. So now it makes sense.
It's been a year since my dad passed, and so much has been revealed to me. And I think a lot of those things that have been revealed may be able to help others. My friend has seen some of this grieving journey, and we had a chat, and we decided to push record on that conversation. So I'm reflecting on that conversation that I had with my friend Bex about my dad, and there's been a lot of healing since then. And I'm glad that there has been a lot of healing because I feel lighter. And this is just what some of this process looks like, I think, for a lot of us, but especially me.
All right, so welcome to my apartment for this conversation. This is such an important conversation. I am so honored that you would choose me to host this conversation with you. So thank you. Everyone, we have here with us Iore Odigizugwa, and she is the voiceover artist and multimedia producer of my dreams. We've been through so many journeys together. You've had so many projects that have been just so impactful. And you now are the host of Unpopular, which I've had the pleasure of, having a conversation on. And now we're here to have this one. It's a big subject. Nigerian Fathers. So
Nigerian Fathers.
Yeah. Welcome. And I guess we'll just start with that. Tell us about your father.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate you allowing me to be in this space. You always create a safe space to talk, a comfortable space. That's always like a thing for me. And so I really appreciate that you do that like every time. So thank you.
It's an honor.
My dad was a leader. I saw my dad as that, my dad. And I was a bit of a daddy's girl. But to everyone else, he was Efosa Odigizua.
Why are you laughing?
This is serious CNN interview. My name is Efosa Uwamere Odigizua.
A leader in every sense of the word. He was the oldest of 29 siblings and the son of a chief. When he got to the States, he obtained several degrees: a bachelor's degree in business administration, 2 master's degrees in public administration and social work, and also a doctorate degree in social work. He worked for the Department of Human Services Child Welfare, where he served as a social worker for 18 years in Portland, Oregon. He was a part of several organizations in the United States. He led a team of professionals, African and African Americans, that founded the Tri-County chapter of the esteemed national organization, Blacks in Government. Surprised by his efforts to secure over 100 members at the chapter's very foundation, he was honored and recognized at the national level.
New chapters are usually introduced. I was introduced as the new president of a new chapter in Oregon called the Tri-County chapter of Blacks in Government.
He made many efforts to curate conversations and plannings to help assist Nigerians abroad and in the States gain sustainability by being a prominent member of the Nigerian community in Oregon and Southeast Washington, known as Nkoswa.
So I was also president of that organization at the time, because it's rotational. My focus then was again finding a way to mend the divide between Africans and Americans.
He was also a founding member of the Nigerian Investment Club, NIC, which ran for more than 10 years, educating its members on the stock market while embracing brotherhood regardless of the tribe of origin. My father was also quite the entrepreneur, owning multiple businesses, including Odua Digital Photos, a photography business, Bellafantino, a men and women's Italian shoe store, and Iori of London Boutique, a women's boutique store. He retired in Nigeria after working as a professor of social work at the University of Benin. Big personality, life of the party. First, he emceed every event, first of all. He was always the MC, always the last one on the dance floor, always the last one to leave. Big smile, teeth all the time. He'd come in, people always greet him, Chief Odigizua, Chief Odigizua. Then he would give his nicknames. He's a man full of nicknames for everyone. He was an amazing man. I think I was a daddy's girl. To an extent, because I was also still very fearful of him.
Although he was a fun guy, he could be very intimidating, demanding respect in all the wrong ways, sometimes selfish, and not always kind to those around him. But I can't fault him. I think some of the culture made him this way. He was only doing what he was taught to do.
What made you fearful of him?
He just demanded that respect. He just gave you that look. Nigerian parents don't play. They give you that look and they mean business. But I feel like for him, it's like he took it to another level.
I have lived so much of my life in fear, and I'm not contributing all of that to my dad. But I do think it planted some seed or contributed in some type of way this fear of man, fear of people, gotta get it right or else, everyone's watching kind of mentality that I've worked really hard to undo.
I remember having a moment when I was young, having a thought about him, like, oh my God, I hate him. I hate him, but he's so mean. And then I quickly retracted it because I was like, oh, he might be able to read my mind.
Oh my goodness.
He's not God.
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah, he created this God complex, I feel like, in a way. And to everyone around him, I feel like a lot of people respected him, and then I think a lot of people feared him too. And not just his children, not just us.
Interesting. I'm such a curious person, so as you're telling me this, I'm trying to piece together who he was. So this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, why are we here today? What are we uncovering? Because I feel like there's so much to uncover just with how we started.
Yeah. I think I wanted to tell this story of who my dad is. As you know, I had a brand called the Akata Theory brand.
For over 15 years, I was a bit obsessed with the word Akata, a Nigerian word that I often heard but didn't understand. So in college, as a student project, this quest started.
I wonder what people thought of me when they saw me. Did they see an African girl, or did they see an African American girl?
That then became a documentary with the possibility of a docuseries.
An example of the best of both worlds that I've been blessed with. So what am I? Some call me Akata.
My best friend threw a release party and had a few performances, and we had an amazing panel discussion. Then I created a short film named Akata, which was in the Portland Film Festival, my hometown. Such an honor. And then I created the Akata Theory brand, which was the umbrella for all things Akata, a new home to create a community to bridge the gap between Africans and African Americans. Oh, and yes, I had a podcast named 5 Minutes with an Akata.
Do you know what Akata means?
Where I continued this conversation about unity between Africans and African Americans. Even did a live show in San Diego at a Juneteenth Day party. So yes, I think the word obsessed, unfortunately, fits perfectly.
Had a lot of things surrounded around understanding the definition of Akata. And I ended that when my dad passed and transitioned into unpopular. Now, I do believe that didn't just come from me. I felt a sense that I needed to do that. And then in the process of transitioning, I realized that I was trying to prove to my dad my Nigerianness.
But in all that work I did for Akata, I think I was trying to please my dad. You know, show him and prove to him that I was Nigerian.
I think that was behind some of it. So that wasn't the initial stop, but that's what I learned during the transition. Like, I've been doing that. And so the reason why I want to have this conversation is because in this grieving process, I've learned so much about my dad now that he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, I had to write his obituary. So like I said, kind of just, I'm sure with anyone who has lost anyone, when you're going through people's things or kind of going back on their life or looking through the history of the person, you might have already known the things. Like I knew he was a leader. I knew he did these things, but kind of unearthing all that information all over again it was as if I felt like I was walking through his footsteps a little bit.
I'm remembering that transition because I smiled when you said that as you were transitioning out of Akata theory, that you came to this discovery that you had been trying to prove to him your Nigerianness. And I remember the heaviness of that shift, but I didn't understand it because you weren't articulating that this is what you were going through. So now it makes sense.
Yeah, it was like, it's so layered.
I can tell.
This is super layered. There's so much to speak to.
When my father moved back to Nigeria, it was a shock for a lot of us. I think at the time I thought, well, I guess I'm in college and I'm not a kid anymore, even though he still had children here. He wanted to go back home. But I would think after all these years, he loved America. A hate-love relationship, I can imagine. But America was his home too. When he moved back to Nigeria, I started to notice a change in him. He always seemed to be tired, maybe didn't have much to say. But it was strange because he was that guy. He usually always had something to say, a joke, something to put a smile on your face. But I started to think that my dad was depressed. I could hear it in his voice. I lived with depression for years and didn't know it. But once you realize and recognize what depression can look like, you can sift it out anywhere. I think the mental state of one of my family members contributed to this depression. my father was on the phone with me talking about this family member and how shocked he was at what was happening with them. And then there was a pause.
Tell me why. If Nigeria is a place that I'm supposed to be proud of, we're supposed to be proud. Go back home. You have to go back home. This is your home. You always have a place to come home to. If I always have a place to come home to, why are people always telling me, don't go to Nigeria? Which one is it? Before my dad passed, I was in Nigeria for like almost over a month, I think. And everybody was like, you're still there. People who are born and raised in Edo, that live in America now, checking on me. Why are you still there? Me, I don't stay there for more than 1 week. People who are born and raised are telling me and and I'm just like my mom, the same way she was when people tried to put fear into her when she was in Nigeria. I'm just like, I know the God I serve. I don't have to worry about that. On the other side of that though, Bex, is no one can make me go back but God. I'm not proud right now. I'm not proud to be Nigerian.
Jeez.
I'm not. I'm disappointed.
Ooh.